I want married women to listen to me very closely because I'm saying this with all the love in my heart. When I was a teenager, or barely a teenager, I slept with a lot of married men that were way over age. And I firstly want to say that not one of them said no. Their only concern was, you're not going to tell anybody, right? And these were affluent men, these were church going men, these were men with great jobs, and these were men with great wives. I didn't know any better at the time, and I'm not ashamed of it because, like I said, I was a child and there was reasons I was doing this and I didn't know better. But I do want to say that these men, they had no idea of using protection. They didn't suggest it, they didn't offer it or anything like that. I theoretically could have gotten pregnant by them. I didn't, thank goodness. But husbands are not, almost all husbands are not faithful. And then men will say, well, you should pick better men or whatever. Don't you think these women that are married to these men thought that they picked good men? Don't you think they married them because they thought they were good men? It's always the men that say not all men are always the ones you don't want to trust, because somebody doesn't need to tell you who they are. They don't need to advertise themselves. When men say not all men, it's a defense mechanism because they don't know what to say when a woman is being brutally honest.
You know what? I don't understand why we have on social media, we have women that were being hoes and maybe they have messed with some husbands and they say, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know no better. You knew better. Let's take accountability for your wholeness first. But then you start to generalize all husbands and say, majority of the husbands cheat. Because you had experiences and you was being a hoe and you was being salacious and you was messing with all these guys that happen to be married. Now you're kind of generalizing all men and all husbands and saying that they're going to cheat. Women, you guys got to stop listening to women like this. You need to start listening to people that actually have some common sense. Do men cheat? Yes, it happens. Is it right? No. But when people are trying to generalize a whole group of men, but it's the person that's generalizing the men is the person that the men would cheating on you with. So how can you believe and really get some guidance from somebody that won't take accountability for their own actions? You were being a hoe, you were messing with married men, however way you did it, but now you want to say most of the married men cheat? That's what's wrong with this country. That's what's wrong with a lot of this women content. They come off as they're trying to educate you, but they hoes. And they can't take accountability of what they're doing first and say, you know what? I'm not gonna say all men, just the men that I messed with were. But I'm starting to think, so if most of the men you mess with were married, who's really the bad person? The men or you? Because if you were messing with mostly married men, what does that say about you? That sounds like to me that you were targeting married men. Because we know a lot of women like to mess with a married man because they already know that there's some type of decent because they're married. Women, young girls, check who you get your information from. This woman's gonna go on a tangent and talk about men. Men is this, and then if a man says not all men, then he's this and that. First of all, you got to say that I was hoeing with married men, and I shouldn't have done that. And through my experiences, I've seen that this certain type of man does this. But when you come in there and you want to take away and push your wholeness to the side and attack men and husbands, that's a problem for me.
Because men know who men are. This is why they wouldn't want to leave their daughter in a room with a bunch of grown men. They know what will likely occur. They know who men are. Their ego can't handle if a woman tells them that. Okay? So it's the only thing they can come back with is, well, not all men, because they have nothing else to say. But when a man tells you he's the different one or whatever, it's never the truth, almost never. And I'm not saying all men are cheating or whatever, but I will say in my particular case, all men were willing to sleep with an underage girl. All men eagerly took the opportunity. Okay? All of them.
Who is responsible and who's the common denominator in that whole situation? You. You are young. You know you shouldn't have been around those men. This is why you probably don't have a father. You don't have somebody around to keep you in check and keep you in line and keep you safe. But you knew it wasn't right. Take accountability for your actions first. You're the common denominator. If you're messing with different men and man is different, it's not just one man all the time, it's different married men, and you're the common denominator, who should we be looking at? And should we be taking advice from this person? You put yourself in this bad situation, but now you're trying to bash married men, but you put yourself in this situation. You didn't have the guidance. You probably didn't have the father. You probably had father issues. This is why we say the father is the most important parent in the household. Because if the father's not around the daughter, they become hoes. I'm going to tell you this right now. If the father is not around the daughter becomes a hoe. Then she goes on social media talking about men is this, men is that. But you're the hoe. You're the one that was hoeing around. You're the one that was doing all these things when you should have had your father, and your father should have been in your life so you could be a good woman. I'm tired of seeing a lot of this content of women coming on here and they have these experiences and they're blaming the men. Is it sick? Is it disgusting that older men are sleeping with you? Yes, that's nasty. They should go to jail for sure. But women, you guys always say you're smart. Even if you're young, you're smart. But even she said in the beginning, she knew what she was doing and she chose to keep doing it. See, women, you guys want this feminist. You guys want to be powerful. You guys want to be a know-it-all. But then in a lot of situations like this, you want to play the victim. When you know what you were doing, you knew that you were underage and you were messing with older men. You knew that wasn't right. But this is what happens, though. And then these are the same women that try to get advice to our young girls and try to go on social media and talk that talk about men. But I can't respect nobody that don't take accountability for their own actions.
And I think this is very apparent what men desire. You can look at when newly turned 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds join OnlyFans, they make millions in one day because that's what most men desire. When men are in groups with their friends, they're all looking at the teenage girls. All of them. I'm not saying all men are going to go for it, but they're certainly at least thinking about it. There's, of course, a spectrum of the risks they will take and stuff like that and how far they will go, but they're all looking at these girls.
What I have to say to that is this. She's been around the wrong men. She's never had a real man around her, so she doesn't know what a real man is. She's portraying and putting out there what men are based on the men that she's been around and who she knows. That tells me right there that she has not had a solid father around her. There are some few men that are perverts, for damn sure, and it's disgusting. But there's a lot of men that just want a good woman, and then she don't have to be young. See what I'm saying? Good men don't look for that. Good men don't talk. We work through actions. She just never really seen a good man. So she's portraying who she's seen in her life to all men. What if men did that to women? What if I had always had bad experiences with women and said they always hoes and they gold digging and all of that, and I put that on all women? Y'all would call me a misogynist. But it's okay when a woman says she has these bad experiences with men and she says these things are across men across the board. That's the problem with a lot of you women. We're not going to watch more of this because all this is a bashing of men based off the men that she dated. She's been around. This is why we tell y'all you got to have a good father in the house. This is the importance, because some of y'all be around bad men and you know they bad men, but you got a good father. So you like, you know what? A lot of y'all don't even have an example of a good man because your father not in your life. So how can you tell me what a good man is when you don't even have your father in your life? How can you tell you what a good man is if you don't even have a good relationship that you can speak off of? You just going off of all negative experiences. This is a woman scorn. That's what this is. All we could do for her is pray for her. But look, at the end of the day, you can't base your appearances and your experiences on your whole culture, your whole lifestyle that you lived and the men that you've been around. Get around a good man first, and then you can compare. Then you can talk about this and that. We have too many conversations on social media where it's too one-sided. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. As always, gonna keep this thing rocking, keep it going. I appreciate you guys' support. We gonna keep it rocking, man. Go get our Patreon coming very soon. No Filter Morning Show coming very, very soon. I just appreciate you guys, and I'm out.